The synchronicity obsession. You've probably started noticing them everywhere. Repeating numbers on clocks. Songs with lyrics that perfectly describe your situation. Strangers mentioning concepts you were just thinking about. Suddenly, you're convinced this is it. You're ascending. The universe confirming your evolution. But what if your desperate brain is just manufacturing meaning where none exists? Meet Sarah, 32 years old, deep into spiritual awakening. Clear belief. Synchronicities prove dimensional shifting. Months 1 through 3 feel mystically guided. She documents everything. 1111 on her phone. Song lyric mentioning exactly what she's manifesting. Overheard conversation about Paris. Where she wants to travel. She keeps a journal. 57 synchronicities week 1. Week 2 arrives. 73 signs. The universe is speaking. Month 4. Major decision appears. Job offer in another city. She looks for signs. License plate. 317. Not her birthday. Doesn't match. She sees 444 twice. Angel number. Means change. She quits her stable job. No backup plan. The signs said move. Month 5. New city. No support system. Financial pressure building. She searches for signs constantly. Desperate for confirmation. Week 3. Panic attacks start. Did she misread the signs? Month 6 arrives. Living on savings. Completely isolated. Questioning every decision based on pattern interpretation. Then she discovers research on pattern recognition under stress. Northwestern University researchers found people under uncertainty showed dramatically increased pattern perception. Seeing meaningful patterns in completely random stimuli. What psychologists call apophenia. Perceiving meaningful connections in random information. Your reticular activating system, the brain's attention filter, automatically scans for information matching your goals. Under stress, this intensifies. Here's what people miss. Your RAS filters millions of stimuli and flags matches to your current obsession. The license plate isn't a message. Your anxious brain is manufacturing meaning from randomness to cope with lack of control. That's not the universe communicating dimensional shifts. That's your stressed brain manufacturing patterns. When you understand synchronicities are often stress responses, you stop making major decisions based on license plates and start making them based on actual values, resources, and opportunities. You're not ignoring intuition. You're distinguishing genuine insight from anxiety-driven pattern recognition, the detachment from reality test. Month 3 of your awakening journey. You're meditating for hours. You feel energetically sensitive. You can sense vibrations others can't. Your old friends seem dense, stuck in 3D. You're operating on a higher frequency now. But what if what feels like spiritual evolution is actually dissociation, your brain detaching from reality as a trauma response? Meet James, 27. Software developer. Turn to spirituality after burnout and relationship ending. Months 1 through 4 feel transcendent. He meditates 3 hours daily, claims sensitivity to lower vibrations. His coworkers feel heavy. He stops engaging. Family dinners become unbearable. Everyone discussing mundane things. Jobs. Bills. He sits there feeling separate. Above it, they're operating at lower consciousness. Month 5. His sister visits. He's physically present but somewhere else. She leaves concerned. Month 6. Financial crisis. No income since quitting his job. Not aligned. Parents offer help. He refuses. They wouldn't understand. Month 7. Severe anxiety emerges. Racing heart, insomnia, panic attacks. He spiritualizes it. Kundalini activation. Ascension symptoms. Body purging density. Month 8. His mom insists he see someone. The therapist asks questions. How often do you feel present? When did you stop engaging with people who care about you? Week 2 of therapy. She names it dissociation, not ascension. He learns something crucial. Research from the International Society for the Study of Trauma and Dissociation shows dissociation is detachment from present reality as defense against overwhelming emotions. Studies on spiritual bypass demonstrate using spiritual practices to avoid unresolved psychological issues, what psychologists call derealization. Feeling disconnected from surroundings, observing from outside rather than participating. Brain imaging reveals meditation's effects versus dissociative states produce measurably different patterns. Here's what people miss. True spiritual growth increases capacity to be present with reality, including discomfort. If your ascension makes you less able to handle normal experiences or engage relationships, that's not evolution. That's avoidance. That's not ascending to higher dimensions. That's your nervous system dissociating from overwhelming reality. When you understand the difference between spiritual practice and trauma response, you can do actual work, processing emotions, healing wounds, building capacity. Real ascension isn't escaping reality. It's becoming more capable of being fully present with all of it. The vibration superiority complex. You've started categorizing everything as high vibe or low vibe. Certain foods, certain music, certain people, your old friends, too negative. Your family can't match your energy. You're protecting your ascension by cutting off anyone operating at lower consciousness. But what if this spiritual hierarchy is just your ego creating separation while claiming enlightenment? Meet Rachel. Months 1 through 6 feel pure, protected. She systematically eliminates relationships labeled low vibe. Childhood friends who complain about work. Cut. Siblings who watch reality TV. Too dense. Coworkers who eat meat. Lower frequency. She surrounds herself only with high consciousness, spiritual community. Month 8. Friend group drama erupts. Everyone judging everyone's vibration. Sarah's not vegan anymore. Her frequency dropped. Mark questioned a teaching, clearly regressing. Rachel watches it unfold. Realizes she's doing it too. Constantly measuring. Constantly ranking. Month 12. Her sister calls. Medical crisis. Their mom needs surgery. Can Rachel come to the hospital? She hesitates. Hospitals are so dense. Month 15. She doesn't go. Can't handle the low vibration. Her sister stops calling. Month 18. The spiritual community implodes. Money scandal. The high vibration leader was stealing from students. Everyone scatters. Month 20. Rachel sits alone, completely isolated. She reaches out to her sister. Desperate. Her sister shows up. No judgment. Just love. Unconditional. Rachel realizes something. Her unawakened sister is showing more spiritual maturity than her entire enlightened community ever did. Research on social psychology reveals in-group bias, favoring those perceived as similar while devaluing others. Studies in the Journal of Psychology and Theology identify spiritual narcissism, using spiritual identity to feel superior while claiming humility. What psychologists call ego defense, through spirituality, protecting wounded self-concept with enlightenment narrative. Here's what people miss. True spiritual maturity dissolves separation, not reinforces it. If your ascension requires constant judgment of who's evolved enough, that's ego wearing a spiritual costume. Real consciousness expansion increases compassion for all stages. That's not protecting your high vibration. That's ego creating separation while claiming enlightenment. When you understand spiritual superiority is actually ego protection, you develop real maturity. Meeting people where they are with compassion, maintaining boundaries without judgment, recognizing everyone's worth regardless of consciousness level. That's actual evolution. The physical symptom misattribution. Week 6 of intense ascension symptoms. Headaches, fatigue, heart palpitations, digestive issues. Your spiritual community says it's light body activation, DNA upgrades, dimensional shifting, your body purging lower frequencies. But what if these symptoms aren't mystical, they're medical, and ignoring them is dangerous? Meet David. 41. Marketing executive. New to metaphysical concepts. Months 1 through 3. Mild symptoms start. Fatigue. He mentions it in his spiritual Facebook group. Everyone confirms. Ascension symptoms. Your body is upgrading. He feels validated. Part of the process. Month 5. The fatigue intensifies, affecting work. He can barely stay awake through meetings. Brain fog settles in. Posts again. Light body activation. Your DNA is restructuring. Drink more water. Ground yourself. He follows their advice. Symptoms worsen. Month 7. Heart palpitations begin. Chest feels tight, heart racing randomly. He's scared. Posts about it. Responses flood in. Heart chakra opening. You're expanding your capacity for love. He wants to believe them. It feels terrifying. Month 9. He's at work, presenting to clients. His heart starts racing. Vision blurs. He collapses. Emergency room. Tests run. Blood work. EKG. Imaging. The diagnosis comes. Severe thyroid condition. Heart irregularities from 9 months untreated. The endocrinologist asks, "How long have you had symptoms? Why didn't you come in sooner?" David explains. He thought it was spiritual. The doctor's face changes. This condition is treatable if caught early. You've let it progress. Now we need intensive intervention. Medical literature documents thyroid disorders, presenting as fatigue, brain fog, and heart issues. Research shows dangerous delays from spiritual attribution of medical symptoms. Studies on confirmation bias in online health communities demonstrate how group validation leads to misdiagnosis, what psychologists call somatic symptom attribution, interpreting physical sensations based on belief frameworks rather than medical assessment. Here's what people miss. Your body operates on biology, not metaphysics. Ascension doesn't cause thyroid failure. Ignoring thyroid failure while calling it ascension causes suffering. Medical and spiritual approaches aren't opposing. They're complementary. That's not light body activation. That's your body showing symptoms requiring medical attention. When you understand physical symptoms require physical assessment first, you integrate medical wisdom with spiritual practice. Get the blood work. See the doctor. Address the biology. Your body deserves both scientific care and spiritual respect. The quantum jargon trap. You're using quantum physics to explain your manifestations. Collapsing wave functions. Observer effect. Multiple timelines. It sounds scientifically sophisticated. But what if you're using real physics terms to describe mechanisms that have nothing to do with actual quantum mechanics, and real physicists would call it pseudoscience? Meet Lisa. 29. Life coach. Building business around quantum manifestation. Months 1 through 4. Business growing. She creates coaching program using quantum terminology, quantum jumping, timeline shifting, collapsing possibilities through observation. Sounds credible. Scientific. Clients sign up. Instagram following explodes. Month 5. She posts about collapsing wave functions to manifest outcomes. Comments flood in. Most supportive. One stands out. From an actual physicist. Politely challenging her science. Lisa responds defensively. She's studied this. Week 2. The physicist returns. Posts, detailed breakdown. Explains why quantum mechanics doesn't work the way she claims. Points out specific misuses. People start noticing. Sharing the breakdown. Month 6. The post goes viral. Physicists weighing in. All saying the same thing. She's misappropriating quantum terminology. Month 7. Her credibility tanks. Comments on every post. Where's your physics degree? This isn't how quantum mechanics works. Month 8. Clients demanding refunds. They paid for quantum science. Got dressed up, mysticism. She consults actual physicists. Learns quantum effects don't scale to macro reality the way she claimed. She was using scientific words to sell mysticism. Classic pseudoscience pattern. Physicist Sean Carroll's published research extensively debunks quantum mysticism misappropriations. Studies on pseudoscience patterns identify borrowing terminology from legitimate fields and misapplying it. Research shows quantum mechanics doesn't apply to consciousness the way New Age teachings claim. What psychologists call authority through jargon, using technical language to appear credible without understanding. Here's what people miss. Quantum mechanics describes particle behavior at subatomic scale. It doesn't mean your thoughts collapse reality. Real manifestation works through psychology and neuroscience. Your RAS, neural plasticity, dopamine systems. That's measurable. That's not quantum physics supporting manifestation. That's pseudoscience. Borrowing vocabulary to sell mysticism. When you understand the difference between quantum mechanics and quantum mysticism, you build practices on actual science. Psychology, neuroscience, biology. Those mechanisms are real, measurable, and reliable. The timeline. Month 4 of timeline work. You're convinced you've shifted realities multiple times. That job rejection? Different timeline. That relationship ending? Jumped to better reality. Every disappointment gets reframed as dimensional shifting. But what if timeline jumping is just dissociative avoidance, refusing to process experiences by claiming they happened in different dimensions? Meet Marcus, 33, entrepreneur, discovered timeline shifting teachings. Months 1 through 6 feel empowering. Business deal falls through. He doesn't analyze what went wrong, just shifted timelines. That version of him made mistakes. This version learned nothing. Relationship conflict emerges. Instead of addressing patterns, he claims he jumped to better reality. Same issues, different person. No accountability. Month 8. He's pitching to investors. Same strategic errors he made 6 months ago. Investor asks, "Why did your last venture fail the same way?" Marcus doesn't have answers. He never analyzed the failures. Just called them different timelines. Month 10. Third business partner leaves, citing the same communication issues the first two mentioned. Marcus posts in his timeline jumping group. He shifted again. Better aligned partners coming. The group validates him. Old timeline energy. Month 12. Facing bankruptcy. Same mistakes. Same patterns. Different circumstances. His therapist asks questions. Do you see the pattern? Every time something goes wrong, you attribute it to timeline jumping. You never learn, never adjust. Month 13. Realization hits. He's been using dimensional narratives to avoid accountability. Timeline jumping was dissociative coping, preventing development. Psychology research on external locus of control shows attributing outcomes to external forces prevents learning. Studies on dissociative defenses demonstrate reality avoidance blocks growth. Neuroscience reveals learning requires acknowledging and processing actual experiences. What psychologists call growth through integration. Brain development, requiring acknowledgement of real experiences and pattern adjustment. Here's what people miss. Growth requires acknowledging what happened in this reality, extracting lessons, adjusting behavior. If your framework lets you dismiss every failure as happening elsewhere, you never develop wisdom. You repeat patterns endlessly. That's not timeline jumping to better realities. That's dissociative avoidance, preventing growth. When you understand timeline narratives can be avoidance mechanisms, you engage with actual reality, acknowledging what happened, extracting lessons, adjusting course. That's how consciousness expands. Through integration and learning, not dissociative bypassing. The dimensional community echo chamber. You've found your tribe. Finally, people who understand. Your ascension community validates every experience, confirms every interpretation, reinforces every belief. No one questions. No one challenges. Everyone agrees you're evolving beyond the matrix. But what if this echo chamber is preventing actual growth? Surrounding yourself only with people who never challenge you keeps you spiritually stagnant. Meet Elena, 38. Teacher. Found online ascension community after difficult divorce. Year 1 feels like coming home. Facebook group of 5,000 members. Every post validated. Every interpretation confirmed. Total acceptance. She posts daily, attends virtual meetups, buys courses from community leaders. Month 14. Friend outside the community gently questions some beliefs. Elena cuts her off. Too low vibe. Month 18. Community leader makes major prediction. Specific date. Mass ascension event. The date comes. Nothing happens. Leader explains. Timeline shifted. Everyone accepts it. No one questions. Month 20. Cognitive dissonance emerges. Elena notices things. Multiple failed predictions. Teachings contradicting science. Financial pressure from courses. She mentions concerns in the group. Gets attacked. You're dropping in frequency. Stop questioning, or you'll block your ascension. Month 24. Her therapist reviews the group. Asks questions. Does anyone disagree? What happens when someone questions the leader? Elena realizes something. The group meets all cult criteria. Charismatic leader. Isolation from outside perspectives. Punishment for questioning. Us versus them mentality. Special knowledge claims. She'd confused validation with growth. Research from MIT Media Lab on echo chambers shows surrounding yourself with identical views reinforces beliefs without testing them. Studies on group polarization demonstrate homogeneous groups shift toward extreme positions. Psychology literature on cult dynamics identifies thought reform environments. What psychologists call cognitive dissonance resolution, ignoring contradictory information to maintain group harmony. Here's what people miss. Real growth requires challenge, not constant validation. Spiritual maturity develops through questioning, testing, integrating diverse perspectives, not surrounding yourself with people who only agree. Echo chambers feel safe, but create stagnation. That's not finding your spiritual tribe. That's entering an echo chamber preventing growth. When you understand the difference between supportive community and echo chamber, you find spaces nurturing growth through both validation and challenge. Seek communities welcoming questions, integrating science, encouraging thinking, not groups punishing deviation. That's where real evolution happens. Tell me in the comments which sign hit you hardest today. And if you want more content that exposes the myths and reveals what actually works, make sure to subscribe so you won't miss the next one.